Compounding is often called the eighth wonder of the world. It has built generational wealth for the rich, yet most people fail miserably at it. They try, they invest, they save, but they never see the results they expect. Why? The truth is, compounding isn't just a financial concept. It's a mindset, a discipline, and a game of patience. Yet 99% of people either quit too early or misunderstand how it works, and many unknowingly sabotage their own progress. So today I'll break down why most people fail at compounding and how you can escape that trap. If you stick with me until the end, you'll gain an unstoppable financial advantage that only the top 1% truly understand. Most people think compounding is a quick way to get rich. Invest some money, let it grow, and soon you're set for life. But what they don't realize is that compounding starts off painfully slow. So slow that most people lose patience and give up before it ever pays off. Let's say you invest $10,000 at a 10% return. After a year, you have $11,000. That's decent, but nothing exciting. 5 years in, you're at around $16,100. At this point, it still doesn't feel like much, and this is where most people tap out. They look at their investment, compare it to their effort, and think, this isn't working fast enough. So they pull their money out and chase something that promises quicker results. But compounding isn't designed to reward you early. The real payoff comes much later. After 20 years, that $10,000 grows to $67,000. After 30 years, it jumps to $174,000. And after 40 years, it reaches $381,000. 40 years, it skyrockets to $452,000. The biggest gains don't happen in the beginning. They happen when the momentum finally kicks in. The mistake most people make is expecting fast results. When they don't see them, they assume compounding doesn't work and move on to riskier investments. But the people who actually build serious wealth are the ones who stay patient. They understand that time is the most important factor, and they let it do the heavy lifting. Compounding isn't about quick wins. It's about sticking with it long enough to see the real results. Most people don't have that kind of patience. But if you do, you'll be the one who reaps the rewards while everyone else wonders why they never got there. Why most people mentally sabotage compounding. Compounding isn't just a numbers game, it's a psychological game. The human brain is wired to seek instant gratification, which is why most people fail at long-term investing. When we don't see quick results, we feel like nothing is happening, even though compounding is quietly doing its job behind the scenes. This impatience is what drives people to chase quick wins instead. They hop between investments, pull money out at the worst times, and panic when markets dip. All because they expect linear growth. But compounding doesn't work that way. It moves like an escalator, not a straight staircase. The first steps feel frustratingly slow, but once momentum kicks in, it accelerates beyond anything most people expect. The key to winning this game? Mastering patience. The top 1% don't just understand compounding mathematically, they embrace it psychologically. They train themselves to ignore short-term noise and trust the process. That's what separates those who get rich from those who stay stuck. Now let's dive into the 5 biggest mistakes that kill compounding. Mistake number 1, starting too late. A lot of people don't really think about investing until they're in their 30s or 40s, and by then, they've already missed out on years of potential growth. It's not that you can't start later, it's just that the earlier you begin, the easier the whole process becomes. Let's compare 2 investors, one who starts early and stops, and one who starts late but invests twice as much. Imagine Emma starts investing $500 a month when she's 20. She keeps it up for 10 years, then stops at 30 and never puts in another dime. On the other hand, John waits until he's 30 to start, but he invests twice as much, $1,000 a month, until he turns 60. Seems like John should end up with more money, right? After all, he's investing for 30 years while Emma only invested for 10. But here's the crazy part. Emma actually ends up with more money than John. Why? Because those extra 10 years at the start made all the difference. Even though she stopped contributing, her investments kept growing on their own. John, despite investing for much longer, just couldn't catch up. This is why starting early is such a game changer. It's like rolling a tiny snowball at the top of a hill. It doesn't look like much at first, but give it time, and it turns into something massive. Most people don't realize this until years later, when they're playing catch-up. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time, right now. Mistake number 2, interrupting the process. One of the biggest mistakes people make with investing is not letting their money sit and grow. Think of compounding like baking a cake. You mix the ingredients, put it in the oven, and then wait for it to rise. But imagine if every few minutes you kept opening the oven, poking the cake, and taking little bites. The end result? A half-baked mess. That's exactly what happens when people keep withdrawing their investments too soon. Let's say you put $10,000 into an account that earns 10% per year. After 10 years, it grows to around $26,000. Give it another 10 years, and it's up to $67,000. Keep it untouched for 30 years? Now you're looking at $175,000. And if you leave it alone for 40 years, that same $10,000 turns into a whopping $452,000. But here's where people mess up. They take money out along the way. Maybe they cash out some profits to buy a car, go on a fancy vacation, or cover unexpected expenses. Every time they do that, they reset the clock, slowing down their growth. Instead of letting their investments snowball into something huge, they keep shrinking it back down. The people who truly build wealth, they don't constantly dip into their investments. They let time and compounding do the work. The longer you leave your money alone, the harder it works for you. Mistake number 3, chasing short-term hip. Compounding isn't flashy, and that's exactly why most people ignore it. Instead of sticking with slow, steady growth, they get distracted by whatever's trending: hot stocks, risky trades, or the latest financial craze promising overnight riches. But chasing quick money usually leads to one thing: losing money. The truth is, real wealth comes from patience. Jumping in and out of investments, trying to time the market, or chasing every new opportunity isn't a strategy. It's just gambling with a different name. The people who actually build serious money are the ones who stay consistent, let their investments grow, and don't get caught up in the hype. If you're always looking for the next big thing, ask yourself, are you really investing, or are you just rolling the dice and hoping for the best? Meanwhile, the real winners are the ones who ignored the noise, stayed disciplined, and kept investing in solid long-term assets. They're not chasing hype. They're playing the long game, and that's why they come out on top. Mistake number 4, investing in the wrong assets. Not all investments actually help your money grow. Some just sit there, barely keeping up with inflation, or worse, losing value over time. If you're parking your money in a low-interest savings account, paying high fees on actively managed funds, or picking stocks that never really go anywhere, you're not building wealth. You're just treading water. The best way to make compounding work in your favor is to put your money in places where it can actually grow. Investments like broad market index funds, solid rental properties, dividend stocks, or businesses with strong long-term potential are designed to multiply over time. They don't just preserve your money, they help it expand. The trick is keeping costs low, focusing on long-term growth, and staying patient. Too many people worry about chasing the perfect investment when the real secret is consistency. If you pick the right assets and give them time, compounding does the heavy lifting for you. Mistake number 5, thinking it's only about money. Compounding isn't just about money. It's how everything in life works. The small things you do every day, whether good or bad, stack up over time and shape your future. If you exercise a little every day, you don't see instant results. But stay consistent, and a year later, you're stronger, healthier, and full of energy. Read for just 20 minutes daily, and before you know it, you've gained knowledge most people never bother to learn. Even relationships grow this way. Putting in small efforts over time builds deep, meaningful connections. But compounding works both ways. Skip workouts, ignore learning, or keep making poor choices with your money, and the effects pile up too, just not in your favor. The real question is, what are you building over time? Because whether you realize it or not, your daily actions are shaping the life you'll have years from now. We've already covered the biggest mistakes people make, like starting too late, pulling money out too soon, and chasing short-term hype. But what if I told you there's another layer to this? A level of compounding that goes beyond just investments and into your habits, mindset, and even the way you make decisions? So let's take this deeper, because the difference between those who barely scrape by and those who become rich isn't just understanding compounding. It's knowing how to apply it in ways most people never even consider. The silent compounding killers you don't even realize. Number 1, the distraction trap. Why most people never stick with it. Compounding doesn't fail because it doesn't work. It fails because most people can't stay focused long enough. The modern world is designed to pull your attention in 1,000 directions. One day you're focused on long-term investing. The next you hear about some crypto that could 100x overnight. Suddenly your plans shift. The same thing happens with businesses, fitness, relationships. People constantly get distracted by the next big thing, never giving anything enough time to compound. Think of the most successful investors, entrepreneurs, and athletes. What do they all have in common? Focus. They pick a lane, stick with it, and let the results build over time. But here's where most people go wrong. They don't just quit too early. They keep jumping from one thing to another, constantly resetting their progress. It's like hitting the gym for a month, seeing no results, and switching to a completely different workout plan. The people who succeed, they understand that results take time and don't get distracted by shiny objects along the way. Number 2, the emotional roller coaster, how feelings destroy wealth. Most people think wealth building is about numbers, but the truth, it's about emotions. Fear, greed, impatience. These are the things that sabotage compounding. You see a dip in the market, and panic makes you sell at the worst time. You hear about a hot new investment, and greed makes you chase it instead of sticking to a proven strategy. If you've ever heard of the term weak hands, this is exactly what it means. People with weak hands fold under pressure, make emotional decisions, and kill their own financial growth. The top 1%, they stay calm, stick to their plan, and understand that volatility is just part of the process. Want proof? Look at the richest investors in history. Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, Ray Dalio. They all have one thing in common. They mastered their emotions. So if you want to win at compounding, the real skill isn't just knowing where to invest. It's training yourself to stay the course no matter what happens. Now let's dive into the secret strategies that make compounding work faster. Now that we've covered why most people fail, let's flip the script. How do you actually win at compounding? How do you make sure you're one of the few who build massive wealth instead of getting stuck like everyone else? Here are 3 advanced compounding strategies that almost no one talks about, but the rich use all the time. First, the cash flow booster, using income to accelerate compounding. Most people think compounding is only about letting their money grow on its own. But the smart ones, they feed the system to speed up the process. Here's how it works. Instead of just waiting for your investments to grow, you increase the amount you invest over time. Let's say you start investing $500 per month, but instead of keeping it at that amount, you increase it by just 5% each year. That small change makes a massive difference over time. This is why the rich get richer. They don't just let compounding happen, they supercharge it by consistently increasing their investments. Second, the hidden tax weapon, keeping more of what you earn. Taxes are one of the biggest killers of compounding, and most people don't even realize it. Every time you sell an investment for a profit, you trigger capital gains taxes. If you reinvest that money, you're doing so with less than what you originally made, slowing down your compounding. The wealthy understand this and use strategies to minimize taxes. Things like holding investments long-term to pay lower tax rates, using tax-advantaged accounts like Roth IRAs, 401ks, or in some cases, trusts harvesting losses strategically to offset taxable gains. The result? Their money grows faster because they're keeping more of it. Third, the leverage play, borrowing to multiply growth. Most people fear debt, but the rich use it to accelerate their compounding. Here's the difference. Bad debt, credit cards, personal loans, car payments, These destroy wealth. Good debt. Low-interest loans used to invest in assets. These multiply wealth. Think about real estate. If you buy a property with 20% down, the entire value of the property appreciates, not just the money you put in. This means a 5% increase in property value actually results in a 25% return on your investment. This is how compounding explodes when used correctly. It's not just about money sitting and growing. It's about strategically using money to multiply itself faster. But remember, leverage only works if you're disciplined. Used the wrong way, it's a shortcut to financial disaster. But when used wisely, it's one of the most powerful compounding accelerators that exist. Now let's dive into the ultimate compounding mindset, playing the long game. If you take one thing from this, let it be this. Compounding is a game of endurance, not speed. The ones who win aren't the ones who try to outsmart the system. They're the ones who stick with it long enough to let time do the work. So here's the real challenge. Can you be the person who stays patient when others panic? Can you avoid the distractions, ignore the hype, and let compounding work in your favor? Because the truth is, it's not a question of whether compounding works. It's a question of whether you can stay in the game long enough to see the rewards. Now let me know in the comments. What's one habit you're going to start compounding today? Now let's dive into the Millionaire's Playbook, how to speed up compounding and get rich faster. Now that you understand the hidden traps that stop people from building wealth, let's flip the script. What if I told you there are hacks that can accelerate compounding so you don't have to wait 40 years to get rich? Most people follow the slow traditional path, saving a little, investing passively, and hoping they'll be set by retirement. But the rich, they use high-impact strategies that dramatically speed up their results. Step 1. Stack multiple compounding effects together. Most people rely on a single form of compounding, typically their stock market investments. While this approach can build wealth over time, it's a slow path. If you want to accelerate your journey to riches, you need to layer multiple compounding forces on top of each other. The wealthiest individuals don't just depend on investment returns. They create a synergy of compounding in different areas of life. Money compounding is the foundation. Regularly investing in high-growth assets like stocks, real estate, or businesses ensures long-term financial growth. But wealthy individuals don't stop there. They also focus on skill compounding, continuously learning high-value skills that allow them to increase their income exponentially. Network compounding plays a crucial role as well. By surrounding themselves with successful, like-minded people, they gain access to opportunities and insights the average person never encounters. Finally, business compounding allows them to build systems that generate cash flow without requiring their constant effort, creating passive income streams that accelerate financial success. Imagine someone who starts investing in stocks early, leveraging money compounding. At the same time, they build an online business, implementing business compounding to generate additional cash flow. Meanwhile, they actively network with successful mentors and entrepreneurs, engaging in network compounding to gain insider knowledge and lucrative opportunities. Instead of waiting 40 years for their investments to grow, they exponentially increase their earning power, adapt their financial strategy in real time, and unlock doors that most people don't even know exist. The result? They achieve financial success in 10 to 15 years instead of spending a lifetime waiting for wealth to accumulate. Step 2. Leverage high-growth zones instead of playing safe. The biggest mistake most people make is being too conservative with their money. They park their savings in so-called safe places, low-yield savings accounts, bonds, or fixed deposits, where compounding is sluggish and barely keeps up with inflation. While this approach feels secure, it severely limits wealth-building potential. In contrast, the rich take a different approach. They strategically place their capital in high-growth zones where money multiplies exponentially. They invest in cash-flowing businesses, ensuring their money compounds monthly rather than just yearly. They allocate funds to index funds and growth stocks, allowing market momentum to build their wealth passively over time. They leverage real estate using other people's money through mortgages or financing to amplify their returns. Additionally, they explore alternative investments like crypto, startups, or other assets with asymmetric upside, where a single winner can generate massive gains. Does this mean they take reckless risks? Not at all. The difference is that they understand risk better than most people. Instead of avoiding risk altogether, they ask a smarter question. Where can I put my money so it grows the fastest while still managing risk? They make calculated bets, where even if they take small losses, their winners grow so significantly that those losses become irrelevant. This is how millionaires turn $100,000 into $1 million in a decade, while the average person remains stuck, hoping their slow-growing portfolio will somehow be enough by the time they reach retirement at 65. Step 3. Use the velocity of money to 10x your returns. Most people lock their money into investments that take decades to grow, waiting patiently for slow compounding to work its magic. But the rich don't just let their money sit. They ensure it's always moving, multiplying, and working harder for them. This concept is known as the velocity of money. Instead of parking their capital and waiting years for returns, they keep their money in motion, accelerating growth. Rather than saving for a decade, they invest in cash-flowing assets and use the income to reinvest in even more assets, creating a cycle of continuous compounding. They strategically use leverage, borrowing at low interest rates to acquire high-return investments that grow faster than the cost of debt. Instead of withdrawing and spending business profits, they reinvest them, scaling their money-making machine to generate even greater returns. Consider the difference between a typical investor and a wealthy one. A normal investor buys a stock, holds it for 30 years, and hopes it appreciates. Meanwhile, a rich investor buys a rental property, collects monthly cash flow, and reinvests those earnings into another property. Within a decade, they've built multiple income streams, each compounding at the same time. This continuous reinvestment cycle is how the wealthy get richer much faster, by keeping their money in motion rather than letting it sit idle. Step 4. Stop thinking like a worker. Start thinking like an owner. The ultimate compounding hack isn't just about where you invest your money, it's about how you earn it in the first place. Most people spend their entire lives trading time for money, earning a paycheck that stops the moment they stop working. This creates a hard ceiling on their compounding potential. In contrast, the rich take a different approach. They focus on ownership. Workers rely on active income, meaning their financial growth is limited by the number of hours they can work. But owners build assets, businesses, scalable side hustles, monetize personal brands, or automated online income streams that generate money even when they're not actively working. This shift from earning to owning is the ultimate shortcut to wealth. When income isn't tied to time, it has the potential to scale exponentially. Once they establish these income streams, the wealthy reinvest their excess cash into high-growth assets, allowing compounding to work at an even greater scale. This is why the rich don't just focus on making money. They focus on owning the systems that produce money. By prioritizing ownership over labor, they create an engine of financial growth that accelerates their path to riches. Step 5. Master the money flywheel for unstoppable growth. The final and most powerful wealth-building hack? Never stop reinvesting. This is the secret behind the money flywheel, a self-sustaining cycle that self-made millionaires use to accelerate their financial growth. Instead of treating income as something to spend, they continuously reinvest it to keep their wealth compounding at full speed. The process is simple, but incredibly effective. First, they make money by building multiple income streams, whether through a job, business, or side hustle. Then, they multiply money by investing in high-growth assets like stocks, real estate, or businesses. Instead of cashing out too soon, they reinvest profits into even higher yield opportunities, ensuring their wealth accelerates. The key is to repeat the cycle without interruptions, never breaking the momentum, no matter what. Most people fail because they spend too much instead of reinvesting, interrupt compounding by selling too early, or don't generate enough cash flow to keep the flywheel turning. But the rich understand that the longer they keep this cycle going, the faster their money grows. By consistently reinvesting, they allow the compounding effect to work at its full potential, turning 6 figures into 7, not in 40 years, but in a fraction of that time. your fast-track plan to getting rich. If you're serious about building real wealth faster, don't just sit on this knowledge. Take action now. Start investing immediately. Even small amounts compound if you don't stop. Find a high-income skill or business model. Don't just rely on a salary. Reinvest everything you can. Never let your money sit idle. Think like an owner, not a worker. Build assets, not just paychecks. Use leverage and velocity of money. Keep your money moving and multiplying. This is how ordinary people escape the rat race and achieve financial freedom in 10 to 15 years instead of 40. Now, I want to hear from you. What's one thing you're doing today to speed up your compounding? Drop a comment below. And if you want a step-by-step breakdown of the top investments that accelerate wealth, watch my next video. It'll change how you build your future. This is how you take control. This is how you get rich faster. Most people never see the full power of compounding because they give up too soon. They expect quick results, and when things move slowly in the beginning, they lose patience. But if you stick with it for the long haul, the results can be life-changing. So the real question is, are you willing to be one of the few who actually follow through? The ones who stay consistent, let time do its thing, and come out on top? If this made sense to you, drop a comment and let me know. What's one habit you're going to stick with and let compound over time?